And welcome back, everybody, to the team room. We are trying to be efficient around here while Aaron's pulling up what we're actually going to talk about because we don't plan ahead. We actually do plan ahead a little bit more than people probably think, or at least maybe it appears. But yeah, trying to be efficient. So make sure you check out onesready.com for any kind of Attack Elite merch and our merch for that matter. But if you're looking for stuff to prep for the pipeline in terms of gear, like, hey, where do I get one of those high volume masks? Where do I get those rocket fins? Where do I get that Alice ruck? They also have Molly stuff, Molly rucks and that kind of stuff too. If you're already in or you're looking for that kind of stuff, they've got it. Even the ropes that we use for knot tying and stuff like that, it's the correct diameter, correct length. Like, oh man, Trent can't talk because he's muted. Oh, that's
you
awkward.
hate to see
Oh,
it.
man.
Oh man, you hate to see it. It's fine, Trent. You're doing great. Don't you let Peaches shame you. He records one time a month, and he comes on here and he makes fun of you.
Chucking spears.
I'm not allowed to talk during the intro anyway.
Yeah.
I'm like, mute is a beautiful thing because then I can just anyway.
I can't do it because I forget about it. That's my problem.
Right, yeah, you forget to turn it off, and then you're trying to do the same thing. Yeah. I try to do it when I'm taking a drink and being annoying. I take it back. If I was trying to stop when I was being annoying, I wouldn't be on the podcast because I'm annoying all the time. But when I drink into the microphone, people have told me, "Hey, man, not great."
Everybody's saying it. Everybody's telling me.
Everybody said, listen, a lot of people, a lot of smart people.
People are saying.
People are calling. A lot of smart people. I'm not saying. They're saying. Sad. Worst. So as Peaches mentioned, man, we got a really great question, right? So from John Bragg 514 on YouTube, and as soon as I saw the question, we've done parent episodes, we've done teen episodes. We try to sprinkle this in here, but we all kind of realized like this is a big thing that y'all are dealing with, and we wanted to talk about it directly. So, John, thanks for the comment. We appreciate you. We read all the comments, even if I respond to them in the way that is my standard at this point. If you ask a stupid question, I'm going to respond to you stupid. They're stupid questions, everybody. I'm sorry. And then I've actually shot myself in the foot because literally this week I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Thanks for helping me learn. And some guy was like, God, Aaron, you're always snarky and you're always responding. I was like, I was actually giving you a compliment. What a weird way to react to a guy that's telling you thank you. But anyway, here we are. So John Bragg, 514. I've been listening to the podcast for several months now, but I've never left a comment. And I think I have a question that hasn't been asked or discussed yet. This seems like the most appropriate episode on which to ask it. My son is almost 17 years old, about to finish his junior year of high school, and has expressed strong desire to become a PJ. While, of course, I would miss him terribly and worry for his safety, I am 100% supportive of this decision. His mom, to put it mildly, is most definitely not. What advice would you give me and my son about how to talk to her about this and make this our best collective effort to, quote, get her on board, quote, with this decision to enlist and to enter the pipeline? John,
there's a lot to unpack there.
There is a lot to unpack there. Okay, so let's go all the way back to the beginning. So Peaches, 17-year-old, obviously made the right decision. He's probably got a great head of hair. Probably doesn't want to have to oil his friends up in the team room like controllers do. That's a hidden secret about combat control is pillow fights and tickle fights. He's going to be a PJ. That's awesome. He wants to be a PJ. He's decided at 17. We have said, a bunch of times, right in that window, right? Start preparing yourself to get ready to go. But he's having a little problem with mom. Him and dad are on board. Let's talk about the age and if his decision is correct and dad, John, support him here. How did you feel, Peaches? Because I think this is really, really close to your story, is it not?
Yeah, well, yes, at least, but both my parents were completely on board. I think my mom definitely had, maybe not reservations, but I think any parent that loves their child is going to have concerns like, oh, what could happen to little Johnny, as he's out there in a combat operation or training environment? Because the reality is their accidents do happen. We are in a high risk job, so things happen. Even if everything goes right, up to the run up, some kind of freak thing could happen or something just out of their control. So, that is definitely a risk, but both of my parents were very supportive in that regard. It's tough, man. It's tough to put myself in that mother's shoes. because I think what she runs the risk of doing by and maybe she's still on board with it. Maybe she's still like, yeah, go and do it, right? But what she runs the risk of is resentment later on. If she can't let go and support her son and do that, no matter the risk, she runs he could end up resenting her for a very long time. And I think that is probably more riskier than the chances of him getting hurt or dying in combat operations, training operations, stuff like that. And I think that's what I would be concerned about. Like if my kid wanted to go in at 17 and their mom was worried about it, and I'm sitting here like, go, 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 like this is great, fantastic, get after it. I would, as the husband and the father, I would have to pull my wife off to the side and be like, "Hey, listen, like you are treading a very fine line right now, and I'm just looking out for you, but you may want to just let him go and go do his thing, and then be there to support them whenever those tough times, whenever that extended training days and hell weeks or whatever we're calling it now, PRT. I don't know, that whole pipeline thing that we do, whatever it's called. Definitely not called the other thing.
It's definitely don't call it that other thing.
Called the other thing.
I swear to God, you'll get canceled for using the I word faster than some of the other words. I'll tell you what, you run the risk. And
you got to care to be canceled.
You got to care. Well, right, exactly. Like I have it on good. I have it on good authority that I'm being dragged on Twitter. Great. Twitter and Instagram aren't real places, so I don't care. The hardest thing there is really, and it really is. And I love how you started to put yourself in the mother's shoes to really go, okay, hold on. Like if you really think about it, Trent, I'm not even going to ask you because you just lied to your parents for like 18 years. Like your parents found out at your retirement party exactly what it is that you do. No kidding. This is a funny story. Trent really lied to his parents, guys. He said, I'm going to be a weather guy. And then he went to weather, and then like he was able to weasel himself into all of these other opportunities, and years had gone by and his parents thought he was a weather guy. So Trent's like you're the color guy on this episode, Trent. You're just here for jokes.
All right.
You have
I can do that.
You have no input. Funnily enough,
my first reaction was this husband and the son should run away. Just leave.
Go get an apartment.
Yeah. And then just join when you want
two
to.
Bros.
Like,
there's two bros.
Cut this toxicity out of your life, guys. Like, what's going on?
And that's exactly why I didn't open with you. It's why I'm glad the Peaches hopped in with something valuable. I will say that my mom was not on board, right? And the funny story I was going to tell Trent is we were at your retirement ceremony, and my wife leans over to me at one point. She was like looking at some pictures and stuff, and it was like later. It was at the after party. She leans over and she goes, "Wow, Trent really did all this stuff, huh?" And I was like, "What do you think? Why do you think we brought him? What do you mean?" She was just like, "I don't know. I just always thought he was just a weather guy." I was like, Trent, you've eaten dinner, you've slept at his house, and you didn't know that these were things. And she was just like, whatever. And it was funny to me. Anyway,
one of the most successful psyops of all time.
You were the second most. Haley Luan is the first most successful psyop of all time. I met her. It was fun. I got a picture with her. It's on the page. You should go check it out. Anyway, so my parents weren't on board with this, right? Like my mom 100% was not. I mean, she just straight up told me I was wrong. I remember when I got back to the house distinctly. I distinctly remember her telling me, "Hey, like I think this is a mistake. I do not think that you should do this." And I was just like, "Okay, tight." But it took me a long time, but I understand why it is that she was doing that. That's your child. She's looking. She doesn't see a young man ready to go out and crush the world and become a special operator and affect battle space as a one-off like nobody else can, because that's what we do in the Air Force. She's looking at her son. She's looking at her little baby that she fed and that she protected and she has guided through growing up. So it's hard to disconnect those two things, because I'll just tell you as a parent, and some people, unless you're a parent, you're not going to understand, right? Like there's no way to stop looking at your kids like they're small, little fragile things. Okay. Like I'll just tell you straight. I got an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old. Peaches, pretty close in those age ranges as well.
17 and 13.
Like the both of us, man, like my 18-year-old daughter's a freshman in college. She's like through her freshman year. She's almost a sophomore. She's a grown-up. She does things. She can vote. She drives around, whatever. I still look at her occasionally like she is this small, fragile little girl. Like I remember her being a little child. And it's hard. It's hard to disassociate those two things. So you can't blame the mother really for saying, "Hey, I'm worried about this." It's your baby. And life is dangerous. And Peaches, when you're talking about training events, I was just ripping off the number of friends I've had that have been seriously injured or killed in training events. And we all have them. We have a lot of them. And that hurts. And even in a time of peace, even when things are quote unquote slow, I don't know when that's going to be because it hasn't slowed down yet, but it's hard. It's tough. We lose people in training events, even during what seems to be the most mundane things. And I'm sure that fear is playing in her head. So it's coming from a valid space. The question really is, how is it that you talk to them and how do you get them to a place that it's okay? I think number one might be information. Do you think that there could be a disconnect in what the reality of the job is and what the reality of her son is going to be asked to do? Because she's basically got, 2 years worth of time to kind of like ease into this in small parts, right? Like A&S, yeah, it's tough. Yeah, there is a danger there, but you're going to live through A&S. You're going to live through, dive school. Dive school is really, really good. It. Right. You're not going to, well, and you're not going to want to be alive during a lot of that too. You're going to wish you were dead at some points.
And let's to take it a negative a little bit. I mean, there is an attrition rate, right? So
right.
Maybe they don't make it too. So there's that.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure that as a parent, you're not hoping that your kid doesn't make it, but maybe there's also kind of a sigh of relief, like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Then maybe, because they're a PJ and it only goes one way, right? Like nobody has ever failed into PJ. You only fail into another job from PJ. So at least you can go to a less dangerous job like TAC P.
What?
Guys, it's jokes. We can't joke here.
No, I know. I love
this
it.
God, goodness gracious. You see, as I was winding up for that one, Trent's just like, oh my God, here we go.
Pearl clutch over here.
Here we go. Well, I've already got 2 or 3, right? Like I've already on my Thanos glove right now. Like I made fun of controllers to start it off. Like they don't have tickle fights and giggle fest, guys. Like obviously that's not a thing. I did it to make the giggles happen. And then obviously TAC P is a dangerous job. God, you idiots. Anyway, but I'll tell you, it's tough. It's tough to just let him go because it is the uncertainty. Like, the failure thing, she doesn't want her son to fail. I'm positive of it. My mom didn't necessarily agree with my choices, but she was excited for my successes and she didn't want me to fail. But at the same time, that comes with risk. Trent, how would you kind of, let's say these things are all accepted. We know that the mother, we know that she's coming from a good place. We know mom's coming from a good place. We know dad and son are kind of on board. So how is it that you have that conversation? It doesn't feel like 2-on-1, that it does feel collaborative, because that's the intent of the question, right? How to get everybody on board for that support system, which we know is important.
Well, I mean, I would look at it from the angle of what's the mark of a good parent? Like, how do you know you did a good job as a mother, right? You provided an environment for your boy that allowed him to want to excel and want to take risk. Like I would look at mom and be like, you did it. Like this, you should be proud of the kid that you created, that who wants to go out there and push the envelope, who wants to do more, who wants to be part of something bigger than himself. Like, great job. Like you did it. And no matter what this little savage is going to do in the world, there's going to be risk involved. Like this is the person that you created on purpose, right? You did this on purpose to create someone that's willing to put themselves out there, that's willing, to do dangerous things. Like, so what's the problem here? Like we did it, and maybe turn it more into a pride moment than a concern moment.
That's actually what I like. I was thinking about things and writing it down so I don't forget. But I mean, you got to think that this, your kid is joining, a fraternity of warfighters that will have family, like legitimate family. They'll have their squabbles, they'll have their beef between each other just like normal, but they will show up. They will absolutely show up. And I say that on a weekend, like Combat Control is having a massive reunion in Las Vegas.
Yeah,
right.
Huge. Awesome. Those pictures are great, man. Look at all the history. Yeah. They took that big group picture and I was like, holy that's where AFSOC came from. Like you see the dudes and you're like, holy crap, that's where AFSOC came from. That's amazing.
And looking like a bunch of scruffy dudes that should have been straight out of prison. There was a couple wife beaters in there,
dude. Like had some cuts on. Dude, I'm here for it. Dude had his whole his whole
not
rack
actual
on his
wife
cut.
beaters. I'm talking about wife beater shirts.
Not a
this
single
isn't the
person.
Marines.
Not
Yeah.
a single person
Yeah.
in the world thought that you meant
Well,
spousal abusers.
Trent corrected it. Trent wanted to clarify, but I mean,
I
and
am the internet for this episode.
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
be like, whoa,
Right?
hey.
Yeah. You're the
Oh,
comment
we're
section. Ooh, sheesh, pause.
yeah.
Ooh.
I knew it.
Ooh.
I knew that's what these guys did.
I knew it. Well, I knew it. I knew they were. I know they're telling secrets about the wing. I just can't wait to put this on
I said the
Reddit.
quiet part out loud.
The quiet part, in case you missed it. Get ready with one's ready today.
Now I'm just doing trends
What
that
did
I
you
hate.
notice? Those things. Now, did you notice it?
Did you notice?
just-
Let me rewind
how
it.
about Yeah. How about you just point it out to me? Anyway, getting sidetracked. Yeah. That they join a family for the rest of their life. It doesn't just stop once they retire. It continues on. And these folks are the same folks that when they were active duty, whether they're on training, whether they're out hanging out at a bar, at a training event, deployed, whatever it is, they will show up for each other and they will be there for each other no matter what. Even if they don't really like each other, they will still show up because, hey, that's still my guy or that's still my girl. The level of professionalism that they will end up having and the soft skills that they will learn, whether they do 4 years, 6 years, 10, 20, 25, whatever, like they will be successful in no matter what they do. And that's why that's the whole soft skills is it's tough. It's not tangible. So it's tough to actually put something on it and point to it, but you see it. That's why you see so many entrepreneurs out there that are prior, soft dudes, SOCOM dudes, and then also on the other side of it is the person wants, your son or daughter wants to serve the country. Like that's a pretty awesome calling.
Yeah.
And I get it. They can still serve their country without doing one of these jobs, but it doesn't, I mean,
in today's world, to have a kid that's not like a total narcissist, it's all about them, is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Like look around on the college campuses. Like you have a person that's willing to like do really difficult things, like to wake up and sacrifice their weekends and make a lot of sacrifices for this thing. And what's on the other side of that? And they know that we have the internet know that your kid knows what's coming. More sacrifice. That's what they're signing up for. And so like this is, to me, this is a wholly positive thing that your child is interested in this. And I get the concerns. I'm not trying to say that the concerns aren't real, right? And it's dangerous, but life is dangerous. Everything is dangerous. And like Aaron alluded to, like you don't, or both of y'all, maybe like Jared, the regret, the resentment, like do you really want to like throw your kid in a bubble now? Like you created this fantastic human being and now you want to bubble wrap them before they go into the world? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. I think how I would start this off too is, because I am so, linear in my problem solving, is I hear the fear of the parents. I hear the fear specifically of the mother on this one, like, hey, this is, really dangerous and I'm not necessarily on board. And I think that what the parents miss out on, because we get so focused, the assessment selection process really is individually focused. We say it's team. We say that you have to put out as a team member. No, you're being individually evaluated. Now, how you operate on that team is being evaluated. So it looks like a team event. It's not. Because if you score a 72% and you need to score a 75, your teammate can't give you 3 of his extra credit points, right? Like he can't give you extra push-ups. You have to do the work alone. So when we accept that fact as reality, but what that makes us think is that you're going into this thing and that your son's just going to be off alone on the wilderness to make it happen in this big dark world. That's the opposite. I would start off by explaining, and maybe I am starting off by explaining to moms out there right now, no, when you give me your son as an instructor, and that's a weird thing to say, right? But when you, especially a 17-year-old, you're physically signing that son over to the United States military. There is not a single person, there's not a single NCO, senior NCO, officer, instructor, even teammate that takes that lightly in any sense, because they know what it means to raise the right hand and swear an allegiance to the oath and do that whole thing, right? But we know how you must feel, and we're bringing them in to protect them. Peaches mentioned it earlier. I'm a polarizing people in the career field. Some people like me, some people dislike me. There are people that I dislike, right? If the person that I dislike the most in the career field called me right now and said that they needed help in Las Vegas, I'd be like, fuck
Done.
you, I'm on my way. You know what I mean? Like, you need help and I'm the only one that can do it. Well, we got personal issues and we're going to put those aside for right now, but I will come help you right now, and I will kill myself to do it. I will crush myself to do it, because that's how important these things are. And I think that people don't understand that it isn't thrown to the wolves. Like, you're a little wolf puppy. Like, when you say thrown to the wolves, you're assuming that a human is being thrown to the wolves to fend for themselves. That's not what it is. It's a little wolf puppy that gets to sit around all these other wolves and learn from them and eventually grow into that pack. So I think when parents have misgivings about sending their child away, yeah, there are all those fears of, possibly getting hurt or possibly dying or engaging in warfare or having mental and physical scars or having injuries and having all these other things. But they don't realize that there is a whole team of people. They are getting a squadron is 200 people big. I've had squadrons that felt like family before. I've stepped into rooms and looked around and had individual personal relationships with almost every single person in that room. And I remember walking out of that room and going, holy crap, those people actually give a shit about me. Those people care about me and my success. Now, that's not going to make you feel better as a mother, but at least you'll be like, hey, when I'm not there, there are some of these other folks there that care about them. Maybe not in the same way that I do, but they feel the same love for them. They feel the same willingness to protect them. I think maybe that's something good to sensitize parents to, because they don't necessarily, if you don't know, you don't know. If you never, they see the jokes and they see us making fun of one another, right? Like all the back and forth and the inter service rivalry and the inter beret rivalry and all this other stuff. And you think it's all this big alpha male stuff. I'll tell you what, it's a lot more like putting your arm around a young guy and be like, come here, idiot. You know what a 401k is? Come on, man. Let me teach you. What do you do?
Let me tell you about 26% APR with a V6
Right.
Mustang.
Come here, man.
Let me help you out.
Let me tell you about how this girl that you think loves you dated two of your teammates, and she don't love you. She just happens to be around here right now. So let's pump the brake. You're gonna have guides and mentors.
True.
But I don't think parents realize that. I don't think, because again, they've never been in a place where, Trent and I laughed about it last week. Like, you're sitting in the rain and you can do nothing but just laugh because it's the worst that it's ever been. But that same person will then take you back and go, hey man, what are your finances like? Is everything okay at home? You seem to be, kind of whatever. The parents think they're just sending them off into this crazy big world. And I think one of those things that I would kind of start to have the conversation is like, hey, that's not it. Like, I'll tell you straight up, like, to the exact mother that's asking right now, like, to the person that wrote this comment, I swear to you, if that young PJ came to my team, that's my PJ. Now, I may yell at him, I may bank him on the helmet when he's doing stupid stuff, or I might, have to talk to him every once in a while or whatever. But man, that's my dude. Like, no one's allowed to be, mean to this guy. Nobody's allowed to come into the team room and be a dick to this person that's unwarranted and whatever else. Like, that's my teammate. That's the young PJ that I'm supposed to teach how to do my job. And we take that very, very seriously.
Yeah. I mean, we've said it before and say it again, and we'll keep saying it. But whenever somebody joins the Air Force or the DoD, like, it is, especially the senior leaders, right? It is their duty all the way down to the supervisors and the cadre that are at the pipeline and the SWIC and ANS and Combat Control School and PJ School and on and on and on. You are, I'll say leasing, maybe that's probably not the right word, but you are entrusting those folks to take care of your baby, even though they're 17, 18, 19, 20 something years old, right? We owe it to you as an Air Force, as a service, as supervisors, as leadership within the Air Force, to take care of your member. And we don't always get it right. There are bad actors out there, just like there are outside of the military. There are absolutely bad actors, right? But by and large, everybody is there to support. Now, love comes in a whole bunch of different kind of, ways, right? Love is, okay, well, is love giving you everything that you possibly want, or also being honest and transparent with you and telling you the truth? Or is it giving you those hard feedbacks of like, hey, this is how you need to get better? Is it also like, hey, be in reality, I know you want this assignment, it's just not going to work out, I can't get you there? Or, hey, you're going to be separated from your significant other for a little while until we can get the assignments to match. It comes in a lot of different ways, and it's not just, oh, well, my kid got everything that they want, because it can't happen. It is impossible for them to get every single thing that they want in the Air Force.
Yeah, it's kind of like the military is kind of like a halfway house. This is how my old man explained it to me. It's a halfway house to adulthood, right? Um,
That's
be-
fantastic. It's a
because
halfway home
that's,
for wayward boys.
I mean,
Mostly wayward boys.
because
That
like
sounds great.
in
It's like Land of Misfit Toys. That's great.
in the beginning, it's like you're not really an adult yet. You're not treated like an
Mhm.
adult
You're
in the
definitely
beginning,
not,
and
yeah.
they kind of walk you through the process as you get there, right? But one of the things I would ask this mom too is like, what does success look like to you? Like, what are the alternatives? Like, do you want your son to sit in a cubicle? You know, do you want your son to be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever all these other things are, and then, you know, show up one day when he's 45 years old and look at you and say, man, we get these DMs all the time, right? Like, this is not a made up thing. Like,
It's
man,
not.
I really wish I would have done the thing that would have scratched the itch that doesn't go away when I was younger. Is that what you want? Or and there's other alternatives too in this universe. Is he turns 18 and he just does it anyway, and then is there resentment on both sides of that? But on the positive side, like I'm telling you, like the amount of growth that this young man will go through in the first 2 years of his career is insane. And we talked about my retirement ceremony, right? Like, and when my parents kind of found out a whole bunch of things.
Hilarious.
You're a
I was there
liar.
for it. By the way, I was like 3 or 4, or about 3 or 4, depending on what time of day it was. 3 or 4 vodka sodas deep, and I was just prodding. They were like, "Oh, is that?" I was like, "Oh yeah. Have you ever seen Jason Bourne?" Okay, so that was a documentary that had to tone down about Trent's career. They actually
Yeah,
had to
right.
like make it
No.
more believable in order. Like they actually had what Trent has actually done. And then nobody believed it. Like in all the testing, they were like, "That can't happen." And then they toned it down to Jason Bourne.
No, that's I did like one
Well,
thing one time.
I was hammered. That's why it didn't make
But like
any sense. Peaches
I
was
think
there.
we all hit that corner or that moment in time though, right? Where your parents do figure out what you're doing, and then they're like, once they understand what you're doing and they see the person that the man that you are at a certain point in your career, it all kind of like falls into place. For most of us anyway. And I tell this mom, like, just be patient. Like at some point it will make sense and you'll be like, this is what he wanted. This is what he needed. This is scratching the itch for him. And he's the man that not only I thought he could be, but maybe more. And he's happy with his choices. And that's what you want to do is you want your boy, your son, your child to feel that success, to feel, you know, to experience everything that he wants to experience. And I promise it'll work out.
Mm-hmm. It's a weird dynamic of parenting, right? Like it's the duality of parenting. You get unconditional love from your mother. Your mother is there just to love you the entire time. Like she kisses your boo-boo, she feeds you as a baby. Like she takes you through life. Like there's a reason why when people are dying on those shores of Normandy, they're screaming for their mom, right? Your dad's love is not unconditional. And I'll tell you, from being a father, my love is very conditional. You know why? Because I'm preparing you for the road. So I will love you, and my love for you is unconditional. But the things that I need you to do, like there are conditions for our relationship. Like I need my young sons to grow up and be good young men. I need my daughter to grow up and be a good, smart, well-adjusted daughter. Like I have things that we place on those things that, you know, and the father does that to push them forward. And Jared, I laughed when you were like, you know, they're still going to get love when they get in there. It's going to do different things. There's still those mom and dad archetypes in the military. That's why you call your team sergeant dad, because you know what, your team sergeant, his love is very conditional. It is dependent upon your performance. Whereas the officer, who's always the mom, okay, 100% truism. The officer is the mom, and the enlisted guy is the dad. That is a true thing. Everybody knows. There's never been an officer that's anybody's ever called dad, right? Like they're the ones that get you in trouble. It's like, you know, the enlisted guy comes over, your master sergeant pulls you aside and is like, listen, don't you tell the captain that I told you this, but get the fuck out of this team room before I smack you in your head. That's exactly how it is, right? They're still going to experience that growth and that unconditional and conditional love dynamic that's going to be there, along with the protection and everything else. So I would hope.
Who cares more? Right?
They're equally. Right? No, both of them. They both have deep love in their heart for that person, and they want them to be the best no matter what.
But you know, to that point, and I'm gonna steal it from Dan Holloway. He always talks about like, hey, who cares more? Who loves more? Is it, you know, the person that you see your kid going towards a plug, a socket with a knife, and is about to stick it in, and you just go, well, I don't want to tell little Johnny off, right? Or is it the person that slaps the hell out of that kid, slaps the thing out of hand, goes like, dude, what are you doing? Who cares more? Yeah, okay, that kid's feelings are hurt right at the beginning, but I mean, dude, you just save that kid from some serious pain, if not, depending
I'm
on
more of a
if
I'm more of a third option guy. I'm more of a her didn't it, idiot. Okay, well let's
Yeah.
not do that again. Come on.
well, there is a
I'm more like,
difference between
hey, watch this. Hey, watch this because
I don't want to replace the plug. I'm like, no.
well,
don't.
you know this growing up, well, not growing up, but living it over in the UK, that 220 is
That'll
a lot
get you.
different.
At 220, that's a lot different.
Lot different than 110 volt.
Woo,
That'll do some
you.
things to you.
Did it on purpose. They can only fit so many people on the island. So
Yeah. Can only fit so many people on that island. They had to start making different stuff. I love it.
I had gotten a question one time, and it's very similar to this. Is the kid? I'm just going to call him a kid because he was in college, but his dad was a prior officer. I don't know. I can't remember what he had done, right? And his son, even though he was going to get his degree and he was going to finish college, still wanted to go enlisted. And his dad was like, absolutely not. You're going officer. You're going to this because you're going to regret it and that kind of stuff. And this is, I had actually had the phone call with him because I was doing one of my PCSs. And he's just like, dude, I like, what do I say to him? And it was along the lines of like, dude, you know that on the enlisted side, our enlisted force are the ones that do primarily, at least within our community, does most of the tactician stuff. The officers have a very limited time. The great thing about it is you can go enlisted for 8, 10 years or whatever, even 12, and then cross over and be an officer. So if your dad really is like, hey, I'm gonna let disown you kind of thing, like lay that plan out in front of them, and at the same time, kind of do what you want in that way. Like if somebody's telling you that they're gonna let disown you because you decide to go enlisted over to officer, like I'm here to tell you that whole officer enlisted, like it used to be a massive gap. There was a massive delta between there, right? Because enlisted weren't educated, enlisted were, sly and cunning and bear considerable
watching. Yeah, right. Enlisted men
and officers were the only ones.
Bears considerable watching.
Yeah, and
That's
the officers
true,
were the only ones that were educated and they were making decisions. That gap has closed significantly. There are so many enlisted members coming in with that already have degrees, already have bachelors, already have masters. They don't want to go to the officer side because they want to do the job first and become tactical experts and tacticians and then go officer, which I think is fantastic, right?
is the way it should be.
More power.
That's what
to
you meant. That's the way it should be.
Here it is, Trent. That's the way that it should.
I knew that was
you should have to be an E5, and then
We
like,
laid out this plan. We laid it out.
Don't even start me on the warrant officer thing. Everybody got freaked out. Everybody was like, "Yeah, warrant officer's coming back," and they're like, "Yeah, cyber," and everybody's like, "Oh, that's not helpful or useful or wow." Hilarious.
Yeah, but
here's the question.
What's up?
Well, I mean, we got this kid and he's ready to go, and the dad is super pumped for him, and he's about to get ready to graduate from high school, or it's getting close, so it's getting time for graduation, and everybody's looking for a graduation present. I don't know what I'd get for this kid, but you know what I'd probably look at? Attacklead.com. Attacklead.com. I would look and I'd say, hey, you want to be a PJ? You're starting to train. This is a thing that you have. Well, you're going to need some gear, and if it's graduation, you're going to spend a little bit more money. So what if you just got everything all at once, from watches to the training ruck to the ropes that you're talking about? Exactly. The high volume training mask, all that other stuff. Go over to onesready.com. Check it out. All the stuff is on there. Pete just talked about it earlier in the episode, but I just want to make sure that we're putting this in front of mind, right? If we're getting ready to go into this summer of love that I think we're going to have, it's going to be sporty. You're going to need to train. And you're going to need to train with the gear and equipment that you're going to use in whatever pipeline you want. So not just PJ, not just SR, not even just Air Force. First responder, United States Coast Guard, Ranger, anything. Attacklead has everything that you could possibly get. You get a sweet discount if you buy it directly off our site, or if you use our promo code, which is onesready, with attacklead.com. But like I said, just go to onesready.com. Maybe pick up a shirt for yourself. Maybe we ought to make our own straight up parent. Like, I love my Aspec War Airmen, like those really bad stickers. Like, maybe we ought to
Dude,
make a
I'm
retro.
gonna throw up.
Oh my
Maybe we ought to
God.
make a retro shirt that says, I love my Aspec War Cone. I love, that's
I love
it.
my
That's the
cone.
one. I love my cone. That's it. It's not,
Actually, I like that. I love my cone. Yeah.
I love my cone. And we'll just make, this is proprietary information, everybody. So don't try to steal this IP. We're going to get this shirt going immediately
Yeah.
after this. But go over to AttackLeet right now, attackleet.com, and check out all the stuff.
But that's not the only thing that you need to be ready, though. If you happen to be a frat kid out at one of the universities, you never know when you got to put in some work. And in order to put in some work, you have got to have kind of general preparedness when it comes to being physical. Because if you're out of breath when you've got to, hold up a flag for hours on end or fight off some protesters.
But it's not harder to be more in shape than these people, these blue-haired dorks with a BMI of 42. However, you should be ready to fight.
You should be going over to 18 Alpha Fitness using the promo code #1 ready and getting a training plan. So Coach Kevin Edgerton, you've seen Trent out there doing mobility work with him in some of our recent videos. I bet you're pretty sore right now, Trent. Mobility.
I put that in quotes.
Yeah.
The quotiest of quotes.
But, he's got training plans for every pipeline you can imagine, whether it's SEALs, Rangers, Green Berets, Aspec War specifically. But really, if you just want to be in better shape than you are now, you contact him. He's got programs, and it is based off of what your current physical level is, what you need to be at, and then what's your timeline, and they are tailored to you. And he's got an app. He's giving you constant updates and feedbacks, and he genuinely wants to know how things are going, and he will adjust, and you will feel it a lot.
But Peaches, what if the parents wanted to train right alongside the kids? Like, let's say the kid gets into, the crush.
Dude, I was thinking about this.
He wants to crush Aspec War, right? But in Solidarity, the parent is like, you know what I want to do? I'm an older dude. I wish there was a program that Kevin had for older dudes that I could do at the same time that my son is getting ready to prepare. We could go do workouts together. There's not a possibility for that, right, Trent?
I think there is a possibility for that. For all of us older folks, I just want to maintain some physical strength and not grow old. Kevin has something for everybody. And Kevin's not a younger guy, and he can still rip my arms off and beat me with them, so he knows what he's talking about.
I have rolled with Kevin a bunch of times. I will tell you, the old man strength that dude possesses is not good. When he gets a good grip on you, like he got me in a collar tie one time, and I was like, oh no, I'm in danger. I should not be here. But that's just a testament to 18 Alpha Fitness and Coach Edge. So go over, check out 18 Alpha Fitness, either at 18alphafitness.com or go check them out at 18 Alpha Fitness on Instagram. Make sure to use our code. It's the #1 ready, and you can use it for any fitness endeavor that you want to do, from kettlebells for BJJ to old guy program to anything you want to get into in any one of the career fields. So once again, 18alphafitness.com, use our code 1, the #1 ready.
Yeah, and his programs are hard, just like parenting is hard, right? Parenting,
the segue in, the segue out. Oh my God,
dude, it's crazy. But I mean, let's be real. As parents, all three of us are parents. That is the same time the most scariest,
terrifying,
proudest, constantly feeling like you're a failure. Well, at least that's me anyway.
Oh yeah, no,
just all of it, because you don't know. There's no really task condition standard. There's no like, all right, well, if I meet these gates, this little person will end up being a productive adult, because you're not raising kids, you're raising adults is what you're doing. And dude, it's scary because you don't know if what you're doing is right. You don't know what little thing or little event is going to be a core memory for them and help shape them, because there are some times where the most obscure thing that has happened or I have said or something like that, my daughter or my son has brought up years later, and I'm like, okay, one, I don't remember that at all, and so maybe that's TBIs, maybe that's just like it wasn't.
Daddy's been hit in the head a few times.
Yeah,
it's just life, you know what I mean? Like you have these, and again, you're describing it perfectly. You have this conversation that it didn't even register for you. You just kind of like went on, and years later to have your daughter be like, "Hey, remember the one time that you said this? I've always thought about that." And you're like, "Oh no, that's the one. That's the thing."
Man, there's so many other better ones.
Oh man, I did bad. I did a bad job.
So like I really do empathize with the mom and with parents, because I'm sure there's some dads out there that are, in the same boat. Like it's not just moms, where there's probably moms that are like, no, you need to go do this, because I've
Sure.
seen these folks out there, and I would love for you to be that person. So it goes both ways. But
Well, it's just like that officer dude, right? That wants his son to be an officer. It's a lack of understanding. It's a lack of education. Everybody's a slave to their own experience, right? And he probably wasn't an AFSPEC war officer, so like he doesn't understand the how different it is the enlisted to officer on our side of the fence too. Like like general Air Force, general military, the gap is shorter, but in our community, it's not like our officers are screaming and yelling at us. It's not like they
yeah,
act like they're better than anybody. They just have a different job. And to control like the group of crazies that we are, like you can't rule with an iron fist. Like it just
No.
doesn't work.
yeah,
You
and
can't hold.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And the Air Force is a little bit different too than some of the other services, right? The officers are making decisions over there. They're not actually the dudes that are actually hacking the mish, whereas Aspect War is that way, right? But the Air Force is made up of a whole bunch of pilots, and those pilots that are in a lot of the leadership positions are the ones that are at the pointy end, doing the actions on the objective, as a pilot, like as a Viper driver, Hog driver, whatever. I was having the same exact conversation with one of the Tomahawk drivers at the web school just on Friday, talking about, because we had some Army folks visiting, and just the language that we're using, it was just different, and the thought process is different.
Yep. So I have an interesting hypothetical, I think, and Trent, I'm going to open it to you. So, as a dad, right? So we talked about putting ourselves in the shoes of the mother and talking about like, hey, we're trying to give you this knowledge to maybe help you see a different side of it, maybe help ease some of those concerns, right? But as a dad, you also have to pull that son aside, and you're not colluding against your mother. I'm not saying that, right? But there's definitely times where I've pulled my son aside and been like, all right, listen, man, you want to do this thing, you're going about it all wrong. Okay. This is what your mother fears. This is how we're going to instill confidence in you and then in this process. And you need to do a lot of this work here, because I'm not going to convince her, right? She is going to be convinced by your actions. So if that was the context of what we're talking here, Trent, and you're the father that's going to pull your son aside and be like, hey, man, this is how we're going to approach this with your mom, what would you say to that son?
I mean, so actions go a long way. So as the son, you have to show that you are committed, right? And mom needs to see that. And then probably just some education. And the words that you use are important. Like I'd be like, I'm more like a doctor that goes and does stuff and helps people. Like show her some Thai cave rescue stuff or whatever. I don't know, PJ's Hero Complexes videos.
Absolutely.
Yada,
Yeah. If you
Yeah.
need somebody to talk about how great I was as a pararescueman, just call me. I got 45 minutes right now. You know what I mean? There's nothing. I don't know if that was a PJ joke or a narcissist joke, but I do wanted to, before you
Yes.
speed past it, because I know you got a great point. What do you mean when you say show commitment?
Well, I mean, you gotta every day. You gotta wake up. You gotta start working out. You gotta be doing self education. You gotta be watching whatever you can. You gotta be reading whatever you can. You gotta find out if there's anybody in your community that you can go talk to, like an actual, Air Force Special Warfare vet or an old PJ. Reach out to the foundation, see if there's anybody that you can talk to. Maybe buy a shirt from the PJ Foundation or anybody, right? Like just show that like you are serious about this, and eventually like you will. I think that wears down the parents' fear a little bit, right? Like they're actually committed. Like, what else am I going to do? And show the reality of how committed you are to the parent that's not very, enthusiastic about the choices that you're making for your future life. And it's hard to stand against your kids if they're committed to something. If they're enthusiastic about something. Like as parents, what am I going to do if my kid wants to play baseball instead of soccer? Like I don't want him to play baseball, but if he's out there every day practicing,
watching baseball, right?
yeah, how am I going to be like, no, you're going to play soccer instead of baseball because, what if you get hit by a baseball while you're out there and it just turns the lights out? Like people die playing baseball,
Right.
It's like, he's like, I don't care, Dad.
Yeah.
I could catastrophize it all I want and I could tell him that's not a real sport and it's just a skill set. But if he's out there every day, like I can't help as a parent, but to become enthusiastic about what my kids are enthusiastic about.
Yeah,
Right.
seeing them become obsessed with something really helps drive that home. Um, man, you know, your kid's getting up at, not that they have to get up at 5 a.m. to go train, because you don't have to do the Jocko thing. Let's be real.
I stared at my shoes for 20 minutes before I went on this run. Sorry.
Man, there's
But there is
24 hours in
reality
a
to
day.
that, dude.
You can train whenever you want. You don't even have to take a picture of your watch if you don't want to. This is, I mean, that's a life hack. Like you don't even have to post your workouts on Instagram. You know,
You can save 5 minutes by not posting.
You could just maybe shut the fuck up and go on a run.
Oh boy. Sorry, Jared.
Sorry.
Anyway.
Yeah, you know, and I, like, in their defense, okay, I get what they're doing. They're selling a brand, they're selling, you know, mentality, they're selling dedication. And because there are days, like I woke up the other day on Monday, I think it was, just I could not wake up, but I had to show up and train. I had to, because it's not a decision at that point. It is you are. So that's that whole discipline thing, where is you take the decision out of it. It's non-negotiable. It's happening. So that's where that obsessiveness comes in, is that kid wants to become whatever it is, SEAL, Ranger, Green Beret, Aspect War, whatever, or they just want to get better. Prove it to me. Start showing up. You are dedicated there. You're not missing a day, you know, and I don't mean that you're crushing yourself, because I can hear Taylor Starch right now just in my ear going, no, they shouldn't be crushing themselves every day. Like, I agree.
What did our SEER guy call it? D-Red? The dread workout? Like, don't redline every day?
Yeah,
and that was, I'm blanking on his name. Oh, I'll think of it, the strength and conditioning. Go ahead, anyway.
Barrett.
Travis Barrett. That's it.
Travis Barrett,
good. Yeah, Travis, don't redline every day. That's not what we're saying.
Yeah. So, you know, but do something every day. We are made to move. We are supposed to be moving. So just move. That's all you got to do. Especially on the days that you're supposed to be recovering. But just show up, become obsessed, and prove that, hey, I know that you're worried about me doing this job, but this is how dedicated I am to making sure I am there and ready for myself and ready for my team.
Nice. So would you give any other advice? Like, if you were the dad to the 17-year-old, be committed, be undeniable, put in the work to make sure that, you know, take away some of those things that your mother is worried about and show that you're ready for this process. Is there any other piece of advice that you would give, you know, your son to kind of, again, we're not colluding against the mother. That's not the thing. We're all one big team. That's the point. The point is to get everybody on a team. It's not the son and the dad versus the mother. I want to make that super clear, because it's really important, because sometimes it can feel like that, right? Sometimes you can feel like, you know, me and my son are on a team and we're just trying to manipulate the mom to be okay with this scenario so that we can go, you know, do He-Man Woman Hater Club stuff. That's not what we're saying. Is there any other advice that you would give, you know, to the, you know, as the dad talking to the son to help the mother get there?
I think not avoiding the conversations, like those tough conversations. I think, you know, that whole open, honest, transparent. Sure, let's have the conversation. Let's have, Trent doesn't think so, baby.
No. Yeah.
I think
we're naturally getting to Trent's only advice here.
Yeah.
Which is, we're going to hit at the end, because I already know what it is. I just can't wait. I'm just going to lob the softball up and get out of the way.
But I think you address it and you have the conversation, and you're going to have the conversation over and over and over again, and that's fine. And I think maybe at some point everybody will get on the same team, but maybe that's the PMA in me coming out.
And here it goes. All right, Trent. There might be a time when everybody's not 100% on your team. There might be a time when you can't get everybody to be okay with every single thing that you're doing. You're a 18, 17-year-old person. You turn 18, so maybe we can't get everybody on the same team. What advice would you have, Mark?
Just do it. Go. Stop it.
Yeah.
Hey, moms, like, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. You know, you can be on the train or not. Like your son, like he's got shot full of so much testosterone when he went through puberty that he's got stuff he needs to do. He's got to go do it. So you can stand in the way and get run over, or you can hop on that train. They really, when it comes down to it, those are the two options. And you're gonna have to reap the rewards of your decision for a long time. And honestly, your son is probably not gonna be super upset that you were not happy about it in the beginning, but like he's gonna go do what he wants to do, he or she, whatever, right? Like, so man, when you turn 18, you can do what you want. And don't listen to other people that don't understand what you're trying to do. If you're the 18-year-old out there, like they are scared of what they don't know. And just because they don't know and they're not passionate about the same things that you're passionate about doesn't mean it means that they don't know what they're talking about. So like, why would you listen to them if they don't have the same itch as you, or if they're just like trying to bury the same regret that they have for not chasing their dreams when they were younger? Like that's fine, and that's on them. That's not on you. You don't need to listen to them. You need to go do what you can do while you can do it.
I love the defiance part, because that's
I
so
know.
true. Because either way, they're still so at 18, just go do it. And you're right. You're so right. There will be a piece of them that's like, yeah, that's right. I'm still giving it to my parents. I'm still defying you. You can't touch me.
God, I love how stupid we all are too, because you get to this time period, like until you're about 15, you're like, my dad and mom are a superhero. They know all these things. They have life figured out. And then something happens when you're like 15, you're like, these people are idiots. They don't know what they're talking about. It takes about 20 years. Usually I got to about 35 and I was like, oh, I'm a fucking idiot. My parents were right all along, and they were way smarter than me and they were trying to teach me the entire time. And I still went off and did all these dumb things because that's who I am as a person. I don't know what happens in that 20 years, but it's like, it's, the curve, right? Like it's 15 years old. My parents are geniuses. Up here, my parents don't know anything. I'm the smartest person on the face of the earth. And then it's over here, you're like, oh, my parents are actually very wise people that I should be listening to. Right. Yeah. You know why? Because they already made all these mistakes. They were your age once too. They thought their parents were stupid once too. And hey, 17-year-old kids, this notional, somebody that's out there, man, you don't need consensus. Everybody's not going to be on your team. And sometimes it's a crappy thing to admit, but your parents might be those people. You have to look at it and go, are their concerns valid? Is this a real thing that they're going to, is this going to ruin my relationship where I'm just, no kidding, going to not have a relationship with my parents over this? Or is this something that I really do have to make for myself? And I love my parents, and we're going to go forward together, and we're going to do this thing together, because I'll tell you, nobody is 100% in for what you do. I'm just on this silly little podcast. Not everybody is on our side and told us we were going to fail and all that other stuff. Imagine what would happen. Imagine how sad you guys would be without seeing my face once or twice a week and hear my dumb opinions on everything that I put out there. You know what I mean? Like, I am the second most useless thing on this podcast, the first of which being the entire SR career field. There it is. I hit all of them.
You finally got it in.
Yeah, I'm out. I just had
the walk off.
Yeah, Trent doesn't find that hilarious. I don't care. But you're not going to have consensus. It just might be a thing. And it sucks. And that's another thing that you roll into this. But again, yeah, I think there is something to being committed, putting your head down, showing people that you're serious. It's all good to go on the Discord and talk a big game in the comment section and pretend that you know everything about the process without actually going through it. And it's another thing, quite another thing, as a matter of fact, to formalize that by working out and trying to work on yourself and trying to develop those traits that we are looking for in assessment selection, and being having your house in order. Another part of that commitment that your mom and dad would see is like doing those grown-up things, like, I am going to work on time. I am getting my finances in order. I am buttoning things up in such a way that I'm not running away from a life that's in shambles. I'm making a transition to something better. Those are two different things that when your parents see it, they're like, holy cow, but that work is entirely on you. This process is not happening to you. It's happening because of you. And you should be influencing that process, just like everything else that we talk about. And then hopefully as people see that, they're like, oh, wait a second, this dude's serious. Okay. And it turns from not even, oh, this dude is serious, to, oh, he's real serious. How can I help him? Oh, he needs a little bit extra support. Okay. He needs a little bit of extra time. When your mom sticks her head in your room in the morning and goes, hey bud, it's 8:15. What time are you getting up? 8:30 to go train. She's like, okay, cool. I put your water bottle and stuff together. It's out here. That's when you're starting to turn that tide, but it takes a lot of work.
Yeah, it does. It's so clear and you can see it. And that's where that whole, I'm pretty sure we said it during the episode, but where you're surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded. You're right. Not everybody's going to be on your team. And this is a whole nother episode that I wanted to hit, because I wanted to throw some shade at some teachers and guidance counselors and principals.
Let's go. Here for it.
We won't do it right now because it'll be a long one, but Like, I mean, I had my principal pull me off to the side, just kind of as a friendly, like, hey, what do you know, you're coming up to graduation. What are you doing? And I told him what I was doing. He's like, why would you go do that? Like, why? Why don't you go to college? Right.
Right.
My daughter just had guidance counselor, meeting, and they were like, you should go to college. You should do this, college. Right. And I'm not saying that she's doing the Air Force or anything like that, because she doesn't know yet, but and they were like, you're not going to go into the military, are you? Because I know your dad's in the Air Force. And I'm like, okay, so now me and that guidance counselor have got to have a conversation.
Well, let's go throw hands.
Yeah.
I can drive. I can be in Vegas in like 18 hours.
So me and the guidance
I'm
counselor,
8 minutes away,
we're gonna
my
have,
guy.
yeah.
Fuck around.
We're gonna have a
I
conversation,
swear.
but I mean that's so yeah. So people of influence are and your peers are not going to be on your team at all,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So, but you surround yourself. That's why these dev sessions are so amazing, right? These
Yes,
development
thank you.
sessions are so amazing, because you mentioned the Discord, you mentioned Instagram communities, whether it's us, whether it's SoCom athlete, whether it's one's not ready. Like even the meme
Shout out.
pages are like, I
Right.
love the meme pages. For everybody that's out there that takes offense to them, or is like, oh, because they happen to be in the Air Force or in the whatever, in leadership positions, they take offense to these meme pages. That's who we are. Okay. And that's who we're looking for, is people that
Oh no.
don't take themselves too seriously.
Well, I love. Let me just. I love 06s right now that look at these. Okay, so what are memes? They're online cartoons. They're cartoons that make fun of things that happen in the daily life of cones. Isn't it a 60-year-old tradition that cones have to draw cartoons making fun of their instructors and things that happen every single day? So now
Cone
the
News
problem is like,
Network.
oh, well, it's supposed to be behind closed doors. Oh, well, do we have a recruiting problem? Wouldn't it be nice to know that behind closed doors, you have some semblance of normality in the military, where in the military, we share memes on group chats too, everybody. I'm on a bunch of different group chats with a bunch of different really hardcore operators. And sometimes those really hardcore operators share puppy memes because they're fucking hilarious. Get over yourself. What are we talking about? Like, the meme thing makes me laugh because they can't, like, you bring up the cartoon thing and they're like, well, cartoons are part of our culture. And then you're like, well, how about the meme pages? They're like, no, that undermines good discipline and authority.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, hold on. Wait a second. Can we? No, we're not gonna talk about it. No,
you might be taking yourself too serious.
You might be taking yourself way too fucking seriously, because guess what? You're only in that position for 2 years, and you had no formal training beforehand, and you had no formal training afterwards. So scoot-a-loot. Let the meme boys do what they want. Fucking dorks.
Anyway,
I want to say about
you're surrounding your. I'm sorry, dude. I just want to finish the development thing.
Finish
Surround yourself with people that support you. Surround yourself, and if people that don't support you fuel you, then surround yourself with those people. But screw them. Sorry, Trent.
No, those guidance counselors and those principals, and you start to figure this out as an older teenager. Those people are just piles of broken dreams and compromise for the most part. It's not like you graduate number 1 from your class and you're like, I'm going to go be a guidance counselor at a high school.
That's going to be a real.
Jesus
That's
Christ,
a real.
it's gotta be.
I'm just saying.
A broken dream.
They had Trish just fucking reeling in it. Just, yeah. I can see the vein popping through your forehead, just like, guidance counselors.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, the number 1 graduate from Stanford is not going to be a guidance counselor in your high school.
No. Yeah.
But
the valedictorian from Dartmouth this year announces that they're going to go to Ann Arbor High School.
Well, I'm here for it. The valedictorian, I don't think he was valedictorian, but Dartmouth grad was right there on team with us.
I know.
In England. Like, he was a PJ,
100%.
One of the smartest people I know.
And now he's a doctor.
And now he's a doctor.
Living in
guess what?
Albuquerque.
He was a grungy enlisted PJ, freaking, just getting after the mission. One of the funniest freaking dudes I know. And man,
Yep.
Get over yourself.
I love it.
Guidance
Seems
counselors.
like a good place to end, boys. That was good. We got some follow-ons. I do want to say, though, to the screen name, I don't know if your name's John. I don't want to dox you, but your screen name is John. Man, thank you for the comment. So first and foremost, we take to heart when you guys have good input like that. As soon as we got that comment, everybody, we literally started texting each other. We're like, man, this is great. This is important. We want to talk about this because it's a concern. Parents out there, if you got issues, hit us up. Dude, we're your people. I've followed, somebody through their entire pipeline journey, and granted, it didn't work out the way that the student had wanted, but they're going to refire. But their dad would frequently hit me up and be like, my son said this. What does this mean? My son said this. Dude, that's why we're here. We're not just here for the candidates. We're here to support your whole system. I'll say this. If anybody's parent, mother, or father wants to talk to us directly, dude, hit us up. Even if you don't have it, I'm assuming you're using Facebook because we're cool. Hit us up on Facebook. Hit us up on Instagram. Hit us up wherever it is that you can find info at One's Ready if that's what you want to do.
Go create the parents Discord.
Go create the parents. We'll put a parents channel. Ooh, is there a parents channel on the Discord?
I don't think there is, actually.
There should be.
I don't think I have rights to create that, but there should be.
I think I do. Okay, if not, we'll figure it out. So Discord, check it out. We're gonna have a parents FAQ in there as well, and we're gonna highly moderate it so you degenerates in the freaking Discord don't start populating with memes that aren't supposed to be around there. Jeez, that could go off the rails pretty quickly.
I was just thinking, like, ooh.
But we get it. It's a huge concern, and the fact that y'all are reaching out to us, like we don't take that lightly. We're all parents. We've done the job. We see this at least from both sides. We'll never pretend to know your specific, circumstances or your specific feelings, but at least we have, some things that we could probably relate to and probably help. And, for the candidates out there that are listening, you want this support system to be on board. Of course you do. Of course you don't want to have to go it alone. Of course you don't want to have to burn every bridge in order to get to the next section of your life. You want that. Do you always need consensus? No. But it would be great to have everybody on your team. And that's what we're here to help. We're here to give you the information to not make it so scary, right? Like years ago, when we started this podcast, the number one thing that people thought happened at Indoc was that like you died, like they drown you. And then when you went to SEER, they're allowed to break just some little bones. Like, no, that's not it. But those things take on a life of their own. And then it becomes this huge thing that you're trying to accomplish. And if we can get you the information, maybe it seems, less scary, but we're here for it. So just hit us up. Just ask us. We're happy to do it.
Yeah. SEER was a huge disappointment and continues to be.
Are we going to throw a SEER? You're not safe.
You're not safe. SEER is coming. Are we going to throw some shade at EOD because they're the last tribe that we have?
I would all day long. I throw shade.
Those crabby boys. Shout out to my girl Bex. Bex is an awesome. I deployed next to Beck. She was an awesome EOD tech. She's the EOD team leader. She's amazing. But at the same time, EOD, when was the last time a bomb went off? Maybe that's how good our EOD is that they don't go off, and that's how smart they are.
I got to tell you this story real quick while we're recording, and nobody's listening right now.
Nobody's
at this point
listening
anyway.
Now. We're past it. They turned it off.
So the wing commander at Nellis is a EOD dude, right? EOD officer. And no,
the wing commander's an EOD guy?
Yeah,
right.
Well, CE.
So he's the base wing commander. He's not like the operational wing commander. He's the base wing commander.
Okay.
So and EOD falls under CE and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, since we're close to the anniversary of that balloon, right? That was flying over, and anyway, the way things going. Anyway, as we're sitting in there, right? It's me, a bunch of pilots, and the commander, and the actual operations wing commander, and the base wing commander, who's the EOD guy. And they're talking about, hey, where we can shoot it down and all that kind of stuff. And he goes, hey, I'm hearing a lot of talking right now. And, as the only ground combat guy in this room, I have concerns about shooting it down and where's all that debris going to go. And the pilots who know me just kind of look back at me and are like, you going to say anything to this? And I'm just like, nah, I'm just going to let him do his own thing.
Not worth it.
No, it's not worth it. But so that still gets brought up to this day. But yeah, EOD,
you're not a
the only ground combat guy in there. I was like, okay,
well, right. No, but
cool
I will
story.
say the concerns are valid. You always want to worry about splash and spall. You want to worry about
Yeah.
second, tertiary effects. It's just maybe your packaging was a little wrong.
Yeah.
Just like, this father and this son, maybe the packaging was a little bit wrong and we just had to fix it for the mom to get him off to the Air Force. And that's what we call tying it up with a little bow right on top, everybody.
That's it. One'sReady.com. Get yourself some of our merch. Support the project that we got going on. Become a member if you'd like to become a member. We'd certainly love to have you, and you'll get some extra perks in there. We've got 3 different tiers that all have their own different thing. And then check out our partners that we collab with, and definitely leave us a review. We love all the DMs that we get that are supporting and that kind of stuff. But man, I would love to just copy and paste those and then put those in a review so that everybody else can see what you got out of it. So yeah, good seeing you boys.
Yeah,
You too.
it's a good one. All right, everybody.
All right.
Sayonara.
Later.